live to air on the Roots Reggae Hub.
I was born and raised
To Shavar tonight, reasoning with him, reasoning with the king about his life, inspirations, music, where he was born and raised. Bless up everybody joining us on the radio. I'm going to go ahead and invite Shavar in. Tonight. This is a big tune by Shavar. Born and raised. We're going to speak to the king about where he's born and raised tonight. Hi, Kimberly. Thank you. Thank you for joining me tonight. Bless up everybody coming in on the chat. Let's support every single week. Bless up yourselves. Hi, Kimberly, Gally. Bless up, AJ. How are you guys tonight? Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. And if you're joining in on the radio, come on over to Instagram and you can take in the video portion of this interview tonight. We are reasoning with Shavar, a big reggae artist, actually. I'm so happy to have discovered Shavar and his music. I'm going to send him an invite right now and get tonight started. Thank you for everyone tuning in every single day. I get the messages and the DMs and the requests, the song requests, which we're doing now, which is exciting. So you can request whatever song you want to hear on the radio. Let me know if you're getting the invite, Shavar. We're going to talk about a lot of these amazing tracks that I love. This is another one, a brand new one. It's going to be okay. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. If you're feeling good, share the link with your friends, share the link with your family. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. White House is sunrise. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, everybody. Melody Monday. It's gonna be okay. Try not to sunrise. Let me tell you, watch them get the sky. What do you think about this track? What's up, everybody? That's Shavar. It's gonna be okay. I was just playing a little bit of your music to start tonight. How are you feeling, King? Bless up yourself.
Usually, blessed as usual, once I have life, it's a blessing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, once I have life and my people and my team's okay, you know what I mean? I'm okay, as the song is said it's gonna be okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful track. I want to talk about a lot of your music tonight and also what inspires you and what makes you the king that you are today, your experiences that you can share with us tonight. But for anyone who hasn't heard your music and is hearing this for the first time, whether on the radio or joining us tonight on Instagram Live, tell everyone in your own words who you are.
Shavar is a humble soul, you know what I mean? I'm from a humble background. I come from a humble upbringing, you know what I mean? So one thing, if I didn't learn anything, I learned how to remain humble, remain calm, and even in the worst of situation, is to just learn from even the bad, learn from the good, and to remain composed in everything, you know what I mean? As I mentioned, I'm a humble person, a lover of music, a spiritual, divine person, you know what I mean? Like anyone around me can tell you about Shavar that one thing with Shavar is very, very spiritual, you know what I mean? When it comes on to my surrounding, I'm very picky with who is around me because I'm a strong believer in energy and stuff like that. And if the energy is not matching, you know what I mean, I am picky, very, very picky where that is concerned. So in just a summary that I believe that depicts who Shavar really is, you know what I mean?
I love that you say, you're a humble man, and it speaks in your music and your spirituality. There's things of spirituality in your music as well, and a lot about energy as well. So it seems like your music is staying true really to who you are, and you're showing that, and you're vulnerable in your lyrics. Tell me about your childhood growing up. What was that for you? And you do have a track called Born and Raised, which I love the track. There's a lot of, and the music video as well. I love the music video as well. There's a lot of visualization and messages in the music video as well as the song. Tell me about the track, the concept, how it came to be, and tell me about your childhood growing up, your family life.
Definitely. So I'll start with the childhood growing up. As I mentioned before, I grew up in a humble household. I was brought up in a Kingston 20 to be exact, in a city called Marvel in Jamaica, in Kingston. But I didn't quite grow up in one place in Kingston. Because of I grew up in a single parent household, of course. It was just me, my mom, and my sister. I have a bigger sister. She's 2 years older than me and stuff. So based on my mother, it was her alone with both kids, a strong black woman. We had to be constantly moving around because, of course, she didn't own a property, or she still doesn't own a property. So, of course, she constantly had to be moving based on either the environment or financial background, all of that. So we constantly had to be moving around in Kingston. I can remember a point where I lived in Marvelly, born and raised most of my life in Marvelly until I was about, I would say, 12, 13. Then I moved to Swallowfield. Then after that, I moved to Jerusalem, then back to Marvelly again, and back to up by Red Hill. So it's a lot of place, I had to be constantly changing school, constantly changing environment. So the good and the bad, the good, I got to meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds. So that helped me to see life at a different standpoint for every different person who I meet. Everyone has a different thought and a different opinion on life. And I learned to appreciate each person based on that. So yeah, growing up, music was very orientated in my body. Mom herself is a lover of music. She writes, she sings as well. My aunt, my uncle, I can remember every weekend, like because my mom is a stern lady, I grew up in a stern household as well. So whenever normally come from school, I had to be inside. I didn't really grow on the street like that. I had to be inside doing my school work. After school work, she always make sure I watch the news, and then after that it's straight to bed. So it's on the weekend now we have little time to play around and run around, we as kids. I always drawn to music. Whenever they're singing or DJing, I always drawn to it. Always paying attention, and I always love the fact they're beating pots or anything that they can catch, and just doing great music, it was always great. It was always something that I gravitate to. So yeah, that's definitely how I was brought up. What inspired the track Born and Raised Now, which the track is both written by myself and it's also produced by myself, So what inspired the track is that my upbringing, of course. Growing up in the inner city, there's a lot of things that you would notice. As the song mentioned, watch how you walk at the place at. J's back, J no left cake at the K pack. So growing up, we would normally see stuff like this where youths like myself, are even younger than I am right now, 16-year-old, 19-year-old, was always exploited by the bigger heads in society, are the so-called leaders in society, has always been exploiting the youths. And we sing stuff like that in the song, that it was inspired by that. And hence the reason why I was saying, watch how you walk at the place hot, J's back. There was also a line in the song the third verse where I mentioned, say, welcome to the place where young girl get picked before the stages, lying with men before the ages of consent. Now that song was referring to, against things that I noticed as a child growing up, where, you know, people who we were supposed to see as our elders, people who were supposed to see as role models, there were sometimes the people who are taking advantage of the youths, and especially the female. So that's why I said, welcome to the place where young girl get picked before the stage is lying with men before the ages. So that's one of the things with me as well. Whatever I sing in my song, it's inspired by either my upbringing or things that I have observed in my own environment. You know what I mean? So yes, that's definitely the video concept now is a friend of mine. His name, he goes by the name Omi. Very, very talented director. I pitched it to him once, and automatically he came up with the script. He realized what I wanted to bring across, and we actually shot the video where at my personal DJ hometown. That's where he came from, where we actually shot the video, and it was lovely. And I mean, everyone was cooperative, everyone cooperated, and that's one of the good things about the inner city. You know what I mean? Once you're dealing with something positive, they will definitely push that, and especially music. You know, music is heavily rooted in Jamaica. So yeah, that's definitely what inspired the track.
Very powerful lyrics, very, very powerful visual as well. I want everybody who's watching or listening on the radio to go to your YouTube page, Shavar's music YouTube page, and support the artist, support all of the videos, watch all the videos, because that's, you know, all the artists would like you to take it in. It's a remarkable shot, a well done production, and the concept is well done. And the visuals, everything that I see in the video is beautifully done. So yeah, kudos to you on that one. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, I recommend you seeing it. And if anyone has a question for Shavar, I will be taking questions closer to the end of this reasoning tonight. So if you do have a question, there's a little question box on the right-hand bottom of your screen. You can ask the question. I'll choose a few closer to the end. I also have a curated playlist of all your music. For anybody who wants to listen to the music after the reasoning tonight, I will be playing it on the internet radio on rootsreggaehub.com for everyone to take in all the tracks back to back to back, because I can't play out the music here on full on Instagram. So I do always have a created playlist of all the music. All right, so keep it locked. I will play a little snippet of some songs. I did play that coming in. It's gonna be okay. A little bit of that. Tell me about your musical mission. So for your musical mission and what inspires you the most, I think you talked about that a little bit, but where do you want your music to go, or what do you want people to feel when they hear your music? Great question. All right, so with every music that I put out, every song that I put out, I would like for people, because sometimes a lot of people in the world are alone, you know what I mean? A lot of people are lonely, and sometimes, like, depression is also a big thing. I don't think my country per se, Jamaica, pay attention a lot on depression, especially depression in men. You know what I mean? A lot of men is going through depression, hence the reason why the crime rate is so high, that result to suicide and suicidal and stuff like that. So my music is to communicate with people who are going through anything, because I touch on almost all the topics, you know what I mean, to show people that, hey, despite of what you're going through, you're not the only one, you know, like that is basically it. I want people to know, because a lot of things, even when I put things in my song, is to teach people that, hey, this is what happened in the past, or this is what currently happening right now, especially with a lot of these people who control the media and control all of these platforms and stuff. A lot of them don't want to give the people the truth, you know what I mean? I don't know if you're a fan of the movie The Matrix. Oh, yes, I am.
movie, that movie is not a movie to me. It's more like a documentary, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because going on right now, a lot of people is living in the matrix. They don't know what's going on in the world. So I believe that my job is to shed a light on some of these stuff that are going on in the world. You know what I mean? Shed a light on certain thing that is unjust or unfair. You know what I mean? To people. Like I can remember when I was a child, I needed a voice. I needed someone to say, hey, these are the things that I'm going through, or these are the things that my peers are going through. So I want to be that light. I want to be that voice. You know what I mean? I want to be that song that you turn to when you're going through depression, or that song that you listen to when you need some form of upliftment. Because what really shapes a person? What shapes a person is their environment and their upbringing. You know what I mean? And a lot of these persons who they label as criminal, because a man is just a man at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And a lot of these people where you label as criminal and all of that, if you check their background, the whole reason why they're doing what they're doing is based on their upbringing or what they have been through. And music is so powerful. Like, you literally can be singing a different language. Like, I can remember I released Kiba Your Mouth. And when I released Kiba Your Mouth, I got a call from Gambia. Gambia is how much miles away from the Caribbean, which is Jamaica. And I got a call from Gambia where a virgin was saying, yo, Shavar, thank you so much for this music. It moved me, and it's like you're feeling everything that I'm going through. So things like that is just a blessing to me, you know what I mean? And that's the whole reason why I do music, you know what I mean? And also the love. It actually starts from the love. Like music, I'm really a lover of music, you know what I mean?
I love your song, Give Me a Moat, and I love that you're real. You're talking real about things that you see, and you are a voice for people that might not have a voice, especially on those tougher topics that people would like to ignore for whatever reason. They don't want to face, and so that if we don't talk about it, we can't solve it. Especially like you said, depression. Depression touches everybody. It touches all ages. And a lot of men aren't able to talk about it because of this construct of to be a strong man or whatever that, you know. So there's so many layers to it that you're able to convey through music and through your lyrics. So that's a powerful tool. Tell me about your lock journey. I want to know about that. When did you decide to lock? Why did you decide to lock? Where did that start for you?
Yeah, for sure. The locks is just a part of the you mean from a child, because I like to read. You know what I mean? And music is what inspired me to like to read, because I realize the more I read is the more I learn, the more I learn is the more I write. You know what I mean? So where the lock thing came about is here. I was doing some research as I don't remember the age. I believe from a tender age. I was in my teens and I was doing some research on your hair, and I was saying that you know that your hair is really powerful. Like your DNA is in your ear, you know what I mean? Whenever a person is getting older, where's the first place it normally show? In your hair. You know, your ear normally change color when you're getting older. If you're sick, it's going to show in your ear. If you really study your ear, if you're a person with certain sickness, it's going to show in your ear. So I believe that your hair is very, very important, and it should be kept and should be cared for like any other organs or anything else on your body. You should be taking care of it. So that's where it actually started. I started out by growing my hair, and I wasn't planning on locking the hair. You know what I mean? I always have the lifestyle. You know what I mean? I stopped eating meat because I'm pescatarian. I stopped eating meat about the age of 17, 18. I don't want to tell any lie, but it's around that age. And I was just growing my hair. I didn't think of locking it, but I can remember one point where I went to get my hair done, and a huge chunk of hair. I actually go ahead, the girl show me, say, hey, this is just dead hair, man. I was throwing it away. And I was saying, what? Dead hair? You mad, man? You mad? No, I'm here so much of me here. Me I lose so much of me here, man. You know what I mean? And I might say, yo, brother, it's like me the reason with the king and the king did I say, brother, you are done Rasta youth already, you know, brother. You don't even need no locks in you done a Rasta, so might as well you just do it and done. You know what I mean? And based on the love that I have for the lifestyle, and as I mentioned before, I'm a spiritual person. I realized that the locks is a spiritual side of even Rastafarians, you know what I mean? The locks rooted way back from even the Mama warriors and stuff like that. So based on my lifestyle, based on the love that I have for my hair, I just decided that this was the right thing to do.
It's so sad when you see, like, you know, people process their hair and go through all these transformations to change their hair texture, their hair type, and like you said, the clumps of your, you know, big chunks of your hair could drop out.
Exactly.
'Cause it wants to naturally lock anyway, I feel.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna naturally lock. If you leave it and it's gonna grow, it's gonna naturally lock. You know what I mean? So why don't just grow it? I mean, people. You see, the other thing that I realize with this world is that people tend to pre the negative as the positive and pre the positive as the negative. Meaning, let me expunge on that. Now, your hair naturally grows. Like whenever you grow your hair, someone will look on you weird or saying, like for example, when I first started to grow my hair, I was still living with my mom, and she had a few friends that came over and a few family members. When they came, I said to her, so, "Yeah, mother man, how you make the boy there in the house and I grow hair and look like a croft, him look like a thief, or you really make him there in the house and grow hair and stuff." You know what I mean? And it was surprising to me. Come here, I said, "Yeah," I said, "Me, she make the boy grow him hair. Your hair naturally grow. It should have been, yeah, make the boy cut him hair because I cut the hair, you know. The hair will grow regardless. But when you cut the hair, you know, it should have been unjust, or it should have been something that is not normal. Because growing your hair naturally grow by itself. But when you go ahead and cut the hair, you know, and you take action now for cut off. So that is what I mean when I say people tend to pre the negative as the positive and pre the positive as the negative in society. Yeah, it shouldn't be that way. You know what I mean? You should be allowed to grow your hair. Your hair is beauty. Your hair is life. Your hair is spirit. Your hair is your antenna. You know what I mean? Your hair is strength. Even back in the days, if you can check all the story back then, all these great prophets from back in the day had their hair. Yeah. Some, one of them, Jesus was one of them, a couple other. You know what I mean? So yeah, your hair is a very, very important part. And that is what I believe, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Even the statues in Egypt, they have long locks. It's like clear that
oh gosh, man.
that this hair style or, you know, form is ancient formation.
Any philosophy, any facts, any evidence you want, it's there. If you're gonna talk biology, it's there. The facts are there to prove it. If you're gonna talk about history, the facts are there to prove it as well, that your hair is very important. And if you're going to talk about spirituality, the facts are there to prove it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wake up from this maze, man. Get out the maze, man, and wake up from this matrix, man, and just have a thinking of your own mind, and do your own research. You know what I mean? Especially, it's a black people thing too, you know. I realize that it's a black people thing because we were taught to hate ourselves. We were taught to cream our hair because we were taught that the hair don't look good or XYZ. Like, you will never see another person really expunge and pay attention mostly for say, hey, you have to go cut your hair like, oh, the black people do it. So I believe that it's an attack on our people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And you talk about, you know, things like bleaching your skin in one of your songs, and I'm like, yeah, you know, it's about self-love, and, you know, whatever you want to do is your choice, but at the end of the day, you know,
yeah, you're right.
Your lyrics are just, they're real, they're fire, so I love your lyricists. Oh, and tell me about, you have a record label as well, right?
Yeah, I currently have a label with Skillful Production.
Skillful.
It's me and my brethren from high school, Jabari, and a couple of other of my friends are signed underneath the label. They have their own label as well. But yeah, it's I relieve most of the project that I've released so far is produced by that label. He produced as well, which is Jabari. He produced a couple of stuff as well. I produced a couple of stuff for him as well and stuff. So yeah, it was fun.
I like it. I like that you did that. That's a very good choice in business, you know, and you can do things and own things and control things and create things, and it seems like you have a good group working together, and I love to see unity.
Definitely.
Big up for that.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
I want to talk about the track Kiba Yamote. I might play a bit snippet for you guys here on Instagram, but I will play out the full tracks following our reasoning tonight, so you guys can hear everything in full on the radio. We're tuned in. We're broadcasting to 228 countries around the world, so this is a global movement, Reggae fam, worldwide. So keep it locked here for the songs in full. But let's talk about Kiba Yamote. My mom, I've heard my mom say it, you know, my parents are Jamaican, and anybody who either grew up in Yad or have parents that come from Yad might know the saying, but for anyone who's tuning in, you know, in these other countries around the world, can you explain to them what it means? And then we'll talk about the concept and also production of the song.
Definitely. Whoa, it's great that your parents are Jamaican. I didn't know that. That's wonderful.
Big up all my Jamaicans, yeah.
Definitely. Big up all of the Jamaican them in the house, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, so basically, Kiba Yamote it means shut up. That is what it basically means. But there's a wider meaning to the song, like growing up, as you mentioned just now. Like I normally hear my grandmother say it, like she normally have a saying, like she would say, it's not everything good to eat, good to talk. What that simply means is that sometimes you know something, but it's not every platform you go and flap your mouth about it, or it's not around everyone you try to flap your mouth about it. You wait until the right time to actually bring across what you're trying to bring across. You know what I mean? So that is basically what Kiba Yamote is basically saying. Like I can remember when I first released a song, a lot of persons listened to it one time and I said, why is he telling people to remain silent? I'm not telling people to remain silent. In the third was saying, cause they will poison your food if you talk up. So I not talk up, I prefer walk up. And as them look, book, in a them place man a march up. Set a fire, make it spark up. So that's what I was actually saying in it. You know what I mean? So if you talk too early before you're on a platform or before you get to a point where people are watching now, these people can get rid of you or poison your food or whatever the case may be. Keep your mouth until you're at a point where you realize that, hey, I can do what I need to do now. So by the time these persons pick up and say, yeah, these are the things that Shavar are sending across, we done gone through the door already. So that's what Kiba Yamote is saying. It's touching on a lot of topic. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that, I remember that song was written before early 2019, and a lot of things. That's one of the reasons why I tell people that I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that I am chosen to do this music, because Kiba Yamote was written early 2019, and when I released that song, COVID came out right after that. You know what I mean? And then when that came out, the song was actually talking about a lot of things that was in society, a lot of things. It even touched, there was a section in it that touched on the locks, like me growing my locks hinder me from getting employment at certain place or stuff like it. It touched on a lot of things. It touched on a lot of our leaders, revolutionary, who stand up for freedom, that was killed because they stand up for freedom. It touched on a lot topic, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's one of my, like, I wouldn't say my favorite song because all my songs are my favorite, but it's one of the songs that most of my fans love. Like, most of them are normally reaching out and say, hey, Kiba Your Mouth is awesome, it's different, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what the song is basically saying, you know what I mean?
I love the track. I love the track, and I love the lyrics in the track. And I myself, if I'm gonna do something, I don't speak before it's done or it's right about done.
Yeah.
And there's very many reasons why, as you've explained. So I'm gonna play Kiba Your Mouth right now, just a little bit, just a snippet here on Instagram, not the full track. You have to keep it locked after our reasoning for the full track.
Real.
Keep on, talk and they take your life. Keep on more sunshine. Keep on, baby, put you beneath the sun. Keep on more sunshine. Keep on, talk and they take your life. Keep on more sunshine. They will pull you down. He spoke up and him was in charge. You can't just fight and nothing left. We gotta fight the fight, don't you forget. Fight, not fly, protect. This world is a total mess. Have to load and meet your debt. But I'm not afraid now.
That's just a little taste here on the rootsradio.com of what's to come, back-to-back tracks tonight from Shavar. The track is fire. All of your tracks have a different vibe too. Yeah, and I really like that because you show your versatility and your effortless delivery in all the tracks, really.
Definitely.
So I want to talk more about some of the other music that you have, but I want to talk also about creative process. So tell me, typically, you do produce. What comes first for you, the rhythm or the lyrics?
It depends. I work with the spirit, you know what I mean? I work with the spirit at all times. Sometimes, like, I can literally be here right now and millions of words just flowing inside of my brain, you know what I mean? And it's just up to me to just arrange them. That's how my brain works. Like, I can have a lot of things flowing in my brain and I say, hey, you know what? I'm not using that one. I'm going to use that one. I think I should use that one in the third verse. I think I should use that one in the second verse. So it depends. But definitely it always start from the sound. The sound sometimes draw inspiration. You know what I mean? Which is sound is the rhythm. So, but a lot of times I will have a certain concept in my head, or I will have certain lyrics and I say, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and cook up a rhythm for this. Cook up a rhythm, I have the hook, right? Before I even finish building the rhythm, I say, you know what, I have to go voice that hook here, I definitely have to go voice that hook here. So go ahead and voice it. After I voice the hook, which is the chorus, I go ahead now and finish building the beat, and then I start recording the rest of the song. But yeah, it's a spiritual process for me. I draw inspiration from nature, I draw inspiration from my environment, from the world itself, from Mother Earth. Because if you love Mother Earth is going to love you. If you trust Mother Earth, she's going to provide you with multiple gifts. So yeah, that's where my creative process comes from. I have other people who I work with, Jabari, as you mentioned. I have Sunjack Wildlife, who I work with as well. Black Alpha Production, who is also my management, Akeem. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have a lot of people who I work with who sometimes them say, artists, say your voice that sound great on the rhythm here. But them know so them can't tell me say, I want your voice that type of song here upon it, or I want your voice that type of that's something that don't work for me. You know what I mean? It's when I listen to the rhythm, I'm a spirit that tell me say, this is what you're supposed to voice on it, or that is what you're supposed to voice on it. I'm not a person who go inside a booth and say, I'm going to write a love song on this, or I'm going to write a sad song, or whatever the case may be. No. It doesn't work like that. The rhythm speaks to me, and then inspiration start to flow, and that's how my creative process works. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that. At first, I thought your song "Floating" was a love song, but then I realized it's a ganja song.
Yeah,
I'm like, is this,
I'm not even so.
but yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
and that was intentionally, of course, that was intentionally because of course I love the herb. The herb is healing, you know what I mean? I don't abuse it. I love it. In the song you can hear that I really love the herb, and I add a persona to the herb, you know what I mean? To let people know, hey, I'm affectionate about this thing, you know what I mean? Just like that say, oh, you know, some love mango, I love fruits, I love melon and all of that. It's the same for me. I love um the herb, and I talk about taking care of the body through the herb, and yeah, it's great. And you're not the first. A lot of people think, hey, this is a love song. Like I got a call the other day that the song is being played on two particular airline. JetBlue was one of them, and there was about two other that the song is playing constantly in the airline. People love the song based on how the song is written and the flow. You know what I mean? So yeah, I let people who doesn't even smoke, or people who, cause I mainly steam and drink the herb. You know what I mean? So I mainly steam it and drink it. I hardly ever even smoke it. You know what I mean? But people who don't even use the herb love the song. You know what I mean? They're saying, like, I was performing the other night, and a friend of mine, a brother of mine, you know what I mean? His mother said to me, hey, you know that Floating is my favorite song? And I was like, what? I wonder if she really know what Floating I talk about. You know what I mean? And she said, yeah, man, Floating is my favorite song, man. It nice. So, yeah, you're right about that one. And I put a lot into it. Big up Stewie and production on that one. He's the one that produced that, you know?
yes, big up to the production on Floating. I love that track. And you also have all these tracks as well available on YouTube. And we'll be playing them, of course, on Roots Reggae Hub on our rotation, on our regular rotation, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. There's always, we're always live here on Roots Reggae Hub, and we will be playing all of our music for everybody, of course. So keep it locked.
Definitely.
Tell me what it means to you to bun Babylon. I've heard different answers. I feel like I do it in the work that I do in my own way, but tell me how it is for you, in your opinion, to bun Babylon.
All right, so to bun Babylon, in my opinion, is because the word burn, when people hear the word burn, them feel like, say, you literally a light a fire. You mean something that you're trying to be negative. It's never nothing negative. The burn, we mean metaphorically, you know what I mean? So to burn Babylon is to shed a light on the negativity that they are actually doing, the oppression. So when you burn something, when you think about burning something, this is basically getting rid of it. So when I say burn, we burn oppression, meaning so you want to get rid of oppression, because I don't believe in treating one set of people one way and treating the other set of people a bad way and treating the other one good. Anything that is negatively impacting the people, or anything that I know is not right, as I mentioned, my upbringing, like elders sleeping with minors will burn them thing there, you know what I mean? People oppressing the people. People can't afford to pay their bills because of minimum wage and stuff like that. We burn those things. And how we burn it is by shedding a light on it. Because how you really, and some of the people should know how important they are by uniting. How you get rid of these things is by uniting, coming together as one and shedding light on these things to let these people know that, hey, we know and we see what you're doing, you know. Because a lot of these leaders, they're only human. And a lot of things with humans, we have flaws. and none of us are perfect. And if you have someone on their high rise who is the leader, and there's no one to stand up on their feet and say, hey, I see what you're doing and I think that what you're doing is wrong, they're going to continue doing all the wrongs in the world, and a lot of people is going to suffer because of that. So you have to be the light, you have to be the voice. They need someone to keep them on their feet. You know what I mean? Any leader, as a matter of fact, it doesn't even matter a leader of what. You need people to keep you on your feet to make sure that you're doing the right. Because as I mentioned, we are human beings and we have things that may stray us sometime, or may you have things that may allow you to stray sometime, or allow to persuade you to do negative things. So sometimes it's like a parent. When you have a child, your child will go ahead and do things that sometimes is negative. But you know, as a parent, have to make sure, say, you tell them, say, say that is wrong. Or say, hey, that what we see say you do wrong in a king, and you need to fix up that thing in a king. I mean, the people are suffering from these things. And you have the really evil one them now where decide, say, here we're going now. Me don't know, say, I just my people let me care about and myself, and I don't care who has to suffer because of it. And these people, they do it and come on the front and act as if what they're doing is right. So if you are there now as the voice, letting the people know that these are the things that they are having, you can't forget about these things, then they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and say, even if they're going to do something negative, they're going to go back to the drawing board and say, well, we can't be so blatant with what we're doing, These young queens are called we out, so here what we have to go do now. We have to go try and figure out a way and make it even harder for them. You know what I mean? So that is what burning Babylon means to me, you know what I mean?
Yes, we continue to burn Babylon.
Yeah, man.
Any way that we can.
Man, hot fire.
Thank you for that. Let's talk about the track King. I find that it's important. It's an important track based on the lyrics. I love to talk concept, how the concept come to you, and the production, of course, as well.
Yeah, for sure. King is a song that is talking about me and my peers. You know what I mean? I was brought up to know that, hey, I'm a leader, not a follower. You know what I mean? And King is basically saying, King is saying that, hey, I'm a leader and I'm a king. Because I believe that every man is a king. You know what I mean? You're a king, Brechin. But act as a king and stop acting like a servant or a peasant, you know what I mean? So that is what King is basically talking about. It's talking about my lifestyle. It's talking about giving thanks to the Almighty for gifting us with life, so we can know that, hey, we are kings and we should govern the earth, because even the great book tell you, you know what I mean, that we are here to govern and to take care of the earth. And as king, that is the whole job of a king, to make sure he's governing his surrounding and governing his people. You know what I mean? So when we talk about king, that is what we're talking about. We're talking about royalty. We're talking about self-love. You know what I mean? We're talking about loving your people. You know what I mean? Loving your queens, loving your princess, loving all of that. So that is what King referring to. The inspiration came from, we were just here at this same location here, me and a couple of other my hygiene them. And we just there, a whole meditation, I cook some food, and me there and me a whole vibe, and me a say, big split, big whips, speed off. And me just there and me just a whole meds, and Jabbar was here as well. And him say, yo, you know what? We feel like so we finna cook up a rhythm on this. Black Alpha Production say, yo, that body now, me need to release that ASAP. Me need to release that song the ASAP. Before the song even done, the man say, yo, you need to release the song. The song they even be create yet, the man say, we need to release that. And I say, alright then, see that you love it. We'll cook up a rhythm. cook up a rhythm, send him across the to writers who cook up the rhythm. Like we literally finish building that song, both the rhythm and the song in one day. In less than a day as a matter of fact. So we finish cooking up the rhythm, write the song on it, send the sample of the song, send a demo over to Black Alpha Production, which is Akeem. And they must say, yo, this bad, you know. This bad. I need this to release ASAP. Right away, I'm reach out to a couple people. We also mix the song. Jabara and myself, we actually mix the song. He has a song on the rhythm as well. And right after mixing the song, we send it over to Black Alpha Production. He got it mastered. And he's right after that, he say, yo, this song has to release because this song is touching on a lot of topics, you know what I mean, that the youths them need to know, because I believe in society, the youths them need to know so them are king. And need to know that. You know what I mean? They need to know say, Virgin, we don't need to follow what society paying for we to tell we say, if you not do that, you're not successful, or if you're not following what the picture that they painted for us, you're not doing well. You need to know that just by being a man king, you're a king, brother, and you have to go and claim your right. You know what I mean? Stand up firm on your foot. So that is what King is basically talking about.
I love that message because there's so many times I feel like they're tearing down, try to tear down the black man in media, not just the black man, but now men in general, I feel like are being torn down, emasculated, and, you know, it seems like as an attack on men in general in some ways today.
Right, I agree. You're definitely right. There's definitely a attack. And in order to solve it, as I said, we have to make the first step. You know what I mean? We have to make the first step. And yeah, that is one of the ways in making the first step, by making a track to motivate, because as I said, music is so powerful.
Yes.
One can literally feel so down and feel like say he's less than a king, and right away as you turn on your radio and turn on Reggae Hub and you hear King here, you realize
I love the track. I'm gonna play a little snippet for you guys. I can't play it out in full here on Instagram, but I will be playing all the tracks, selection of our tracks back to back to back. Following the reasoning. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the question box. I see a couple of questions on Twitter, but I always tell my Twitter people to come over on Instagram and ask questions here because it's so much easier for me to mind the questions here on Instagram. All right, this is King by Shavar on RichReggaeHub.com. I love the sound of your voice, your tonality. You have a very unique voice. Yeah, I'm gonna be playing all the tracks in full. I know that was just not even a little bit, you know, that was just a warm up section there in the beginning there, but it goes on to get more fire from there. So keep it locked here for all the tracks following our listening tonight. Shavar, tell me what 2022 taught you. We're in a new year, technically. If you go by like that calendar, the Matrix calendar, we're in a new year. So tell me what 2022 taught you, and what you might be changing into 2023 or looking forward to into 2023.
2022 has taught me a lot of things, you know what I mean? It has taught me to appreciate life. I mean, I lost an uncle in 2022, you know what I mean? He was me, a Rastafari like myself. He was a fan of my music, you know what I mean? I'm so happy that I was there when he took his last breath, you know what I mean? Yeah, it taught me to appreciate life because life is so fragile, you know what I mean? It taught me a lot of things. A lot of things. It taught me not to procrastinate. It taught me that, to be honest, no one is not going to just see you and say, hey, let me go ahead and help you. You have to go out there and go for your dreams yourself. You have to chase your dreams, whatever and you have to believe in yourself. 2022 taught me that. Because if I wasn't firm on my feet, you know what I mean, I wouldn't be doing this right now. There were so many disbelief, there were so many doubt. You know what I mean? People tell me, say, hey, Reggie, this not gonna work because you're not keep current with where the youth them are do right now. So obviously because you're not keep current with the youth with where the youth them are do, there's not a space for you anymore. So you have to firm. If you know what you are capable of, you know the love that you have for the thing, for the music. So it taught me, as I mentioned, you have to have drive. You know what I mean? You have to have drive for anything that you're doing, not just music. For any profession that you're doing, if you're a painter, you have to have that drive. And 2022 also taught me to surround yourself with people who have 100% faith in what you're doing. Because you see energy, you don't want anyone around you that's going to drain your energy, King. And that is what I try to stay away from. If I realize that you don't have 100% faith in what I am doing, what it makes sense you being around me. You don't need to be around me. You're just going to drain my energy. You know what I mean? It taught me that you have to surround yourself with people who want to see you bloom. As a flower, you have to surround yourself with people who want to see you strive. You know what I mean? Not just people who are running down clout. And when you actually reach on a platform, that is when they're going to come and support you and say, hey, we didn't know say you did do it long time. No, we want people who are going to support you when you're down. People when you feel down, we need people to call and say, artist, I'm gonna see I release nothing else. I need some new stuff. So 2022 taught me that. You know what I mean? Because as you can see, based on how our conversation is going so far, it's just me and my team doing all of this. We don't have any big label or any of that is signed to our thing that is helping us to say do this or do that, or anyone in the industry that is giving us any strength or anything like that. You know what I mean? And it's not even a complaint on my side, because I don't even complain. You know what I mean? I always tell my team that, you are bridging. We're not going to reflect on any negativity. We're not going to complain, because you don't want to seem ungrateful to the Almighty. You know? That is what I always tell everyone in my camp. We don't want to seem ungrateful to the Almighty. And if you look on yourself right now, this is a thought that I'm going to leave with everyone. If you look on yourself right now and you look at yourself like 5 years back or 2 years back, and if it's just a small improvement, you have to give the Almighty thanks, because at least you have improved from where you were before, and you don't want to seem ungrateful, as I mentioned. So if it's even a small change, like for example, these things that you're seeing in my background right now, we didn't have that a couple of years ago. We couldn't be putting out so many projects. You know what I mean? But what we do, we decide to invest in ourselves because we know what we're capable of. Only you, it starts from you, you know. And your people are feed off your energy. You know what I mean? You know what you're capable of and you know what you want. So you have to go out there, do some investment. All of these are investment. Invest in yourself. And when I look back where I was last year and where I'm at today, it's a lot of improvement. So even though I'm not where I would want to be as yet, I still appreciate it 100%. And whether I'm dwelling on negativity or whether dwelling on what I don't have, I prefer to dwell on what I do have and to give thanks for what I do have.
Yes. Give thanks every single day. Wake up with an attitude of gratitude. It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference in your life, and how far we've come, you know, when we do think about it. 2023, anything that you envision, that you're, focused on, laser focused on this year?
Definitely, definitely. Great question, by the way. I have an album. I have my debut album that I'm working on. I've been working on it for years. Yeah, I have a debut album. It's debut to release in March, early March.
Nice.
So you don't know that's around the corner. I want everyone to get with the movement. You mean because we have to do it. You know what I mean? Don't ever feel like you're not going to make a difference. For every likes, every follow, every views, it definitely make a difference. It's always starts with you. So get with the movement. Yeah, I have an album coming out. I've been working on the album for years. It's my debut album. You know what I mean? A couple of songs off the album. The reason why I say I've been working on it for years, a couple of songs off the album are songs that I've written like a couple of years back.
Yes.
Yeah. And a couple of the songs that are on the album are new songs. A lot of persons come together to actually make this album possible, like people from all walks of life. I have to big up Macy, that is a great producer, great engineer from Poland, that's in Europe. He actually produced two of the songs, and he mixed three of the songs off the album. He's very, very talented. He really loves what he does, and that is what. And he's the one that actually produced Keep Your Mouth. We're planning on bringing back Keep Your Mouth on the album, but in an acoustic version. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Gonna Be Okay is also from the album. If you're wondering what the album is gonna be like, once you listen to Keep Your Mouth and you listen, it's gonna be okay. And a lot more. So that, along with a lot more. We also have another engineer who's mixing the project. He's from in the United States. He's very, very super talented as well. Two of the tracks. I have two legendary engineers mixing the rest of the tracks from here in Jamaica, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's very, very awesome. We have some background vocals from Nigeria, background vocalists on one of the songs, especially It's Gonna Be Okay. The background vocalists are from Nigeria. I have the person, the mastering engineer is going to master the track. He's also from, I believe it's Costa Rica. He's from one of those Spanish countries. So, yeah, we have a lot of person coming together to make this thing beautiful. And I believe that there is no I in team. And based on the fact that everyone together from all walks of life, from different communities, from different countries, it's going to have like a universal sound to it. So, as I mentioned, I want to tune in, get with the movement, follow Shavar.
Do you have a title for the album yet, or is that coming up?
Yes, I do have a title. I didn't want to release it as yet.
Okay, all right. But you got to send it to me right away so we can play it here on RootsReggae.com. We're going to be playing all music, all Shavar music, on your reasoning tonight too. And I love It's Gonna Be Okay. You make me feel like, everything is going to be okay. On those down days, you're not feeling too good, but you're grateful still because you have life.
Definitely.
But you're like, oh man, I just need someone to tell me it's gonna be okay today because my boss abandoned me or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that was the whole purpose of the song. The song It's Gonna Be Okay is a song of hope, a song of inspiration. A lot of, if you listen to the lines in the song, I was talking about myself. You know what I mean? Enough hungry days, no water in my pipe. I was talking about myself, and I was letting people know that, King, you're not the only one going through all of these things. So don't feel depressed. Get up on your foot because you have life, and go ahead and do it. Listen, it's going to be okay because it's really going to be okay. You know what I mean? And the album has a lot more songs that are really special to me, really special. And I think a lot of persons, it doesn't matter who you are, if you're a Rastaman, if you're an empress like yourself, if you're a bald lady, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, I guarantee that you're going to have a song off the album that you're going to love. I'm 100% sure of that. But what I won't release as yet, I'm not going to release the title as yet, and I'm not going to tell you the amount of tracks on the album as yet. But definitely get with the movement and you will see it. And don't worry about it. I'll definitely put together a nice little package for you personally. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All right. Blessed. I feel blessed. I'm looking forward to the new album coming in March 2023. You said March, eh?
Yeah, March.
That's not too far from now.
Exactly. It's right around the corner. You know what I mean?
So we don't have to wait too long. You don't have to wait too long.
Exactly so, you know.
I do have a one question that came in on Instagram that I will answer in a second. I have so many more questions to ask you. I try to keep it under an hour, but I have so much more questions to ask. I don't know how much time you have. I'm so grateful that you took the time out of your schedule to talk to me tonight. But I do want to ask a few more things before I let you go, King, tonight. Tell me where in the world you love to perform or travel for leisure.
Whoa, there's so many places. I think if I name one place, my spirit is gonna be vexed because there's so many places. If I said Canada right now, Toronto, Canada, if I said my spirit is gonna be vexed because there's so many places. You know what I mean? It's Canada. I can't wait. Canada. I have a lot of people in Canada who supports my music and definitely need to come there at some point. Switzerland is really great too. They're giving a lot of love. London, Poland, California. There's a lot of places, you know what I mean? If I name one place, it's as I mentioned, the spirit might get vexed and cross, and we don't want the spirit to get, you know what I mean?
Well, we're expecting you here in Canada, of course. And reggae music is not just Toronto here, Canada, yes, but all over Canada. I'm here based in Toronto, Canada, of course, but we have BC's big reggae festivals, Quebec, everywhere across Canada. Plus, there's reggae festivals in Germany, in Sweden, in Brazil, in Mexico. Like, reggae is worldwide. So there's so many opportunities for artists like yourself to go all over the world and give your art, give yourself to the world.
And that's why I said I didn't want in one place, because there's so many places, you know what I mean? There's so many. The world is so huge, you know what I mean? That's why it's good for people to get good music, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And feel some form of connection, you know what I mean? Because a lot of persons lack the spiritual side. And just by you putting out great music that they can listen to, sometimes they get a hold of that side, you know what I mean? So yeah. Yeah, a lot of places, you know what I mean? I just want to travel and to meet new people and to just spread the word, you know what I mean? These people can see in person that it's not just a sham, it's not just a recording where we just constant. There's a face behind all those recordings, and there's also, of course, a person, you know what I mean? A spirit behind all that. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I want to talk a little bit more about spirituality, your spiritual journey. Maybe tell me something that might have specifically happened that changed your perspective on your liberty in your life, or was your journey like something, maybe even something that you learned in your journey through spirituality, or that you're still learning?
There's so much. Where do I start? There's so much because, as I mentioned, I'm a spiritual person. Anything that spirituality. Yeah, I've learned in my recent time to trust my intuition. And sometimes based on how the world is moving, based on how people full of doubt, sometimes you will doubt yourself. Your spirit will tell you one thing, say, hey, don't trust that road, don't walk on that road, or don't trust that particular person. And because of all the distractions, you yourself end up get distracted, because as I mentioned, we're only human beings, traits of human, and so sometimes you will get distracted and you say to yourself, say, I wonder if I just overreact, or I wonder if I just exaggerate. So I've learned to trust my intuition, because a couple of things happen in my life, some things that I don't want to really touch on, because as I mentioned, so negativity, I don't like to touch on negativity, you know what I mean? There's certain things that happen in my life, like my spirit has been itching me about the situation, and I went ahead. My team or my people would have called it bridge the current. You know what I mean? We realize that something is wrong, and we end up try to go against it same way. So you'll end up go ahead and bridge the current. And if you bridge, there's a possibility, say you will get shocked. And in the past, you definitely, there was particular persons who were in my circle, and the spirit been a tell me, been a itch me, and a show me say, them people in a real tear in a shop. And I look past it, and I end up being the one getting the bitter end of the stick. So yeah, based on my spiritual journey, I've learned to always trust my intuition and always trust my spirit. If my spirit is telling me one thing, like if I'm supposed to go on the road now to an event or a party or anything what it might be, and my spirit tell me, say, what you know, no go tonight. Learn to always follow my spirit and my intuition, because it's always right.
Yeah.
You know?
It could save your life.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And we have a question kind of on the same topic from Steve. Thank you for your question tonight. What is your definition? I guess you answered that. What do you think spirituality is too commercialized?
Bless up, Steve. Bless up every time. So spirituality is too commercialized.
Like, has it become more of like a money thing, or like people are making money off it, or do you think it, like, I guess maybe that's what he means by commercialized?
Answer is yes and no, because if you pay attention, everything is actually becoming like that. People are mainly focusing on money. Like, for example, the schooling system, college, for example. When college first came out, college was invented so people could know or to learn in their particular field. So if you wanted to become an engineer, you went to college to learn to become an engineer, and they were actually focusing mainly on that to teach you. Now it's more about the money. You have people who can't pay their tuition based on the fact their upbringing or based on their financial background. They cannot afford it, and because they cannot afford it, they're not allowed to do exams, or they're being kicked out of college and all of that. So it's not just spirituality that is being more commercialized. It's everything basically. It's up to us now who is the reason why the music is so important, because everything is gonna be commercialized, but it's up to you now, up to the ones them, for realize. So watch me now. I know what is true spirituality. You know? I mean, I go step out there and I go make sure say the ones them will need the help know say bridging. Nobody follow them people where I tell you say you need to buy that candle, or you need to do this, or you need to do that for self. Your spiritual self. And once you connect, just by being yourself. Because who is yourself really and truly? Yourself is not this, you know. This is just a physical form. Yourself is your spirit. Because science find every single thing in your body, and them can't find the spirit. Them don't know where the spirit is located. You know what I mean? So you are the spirit. Spirit cannot be killed. Even in chemistry, them teach you. Physics, energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So what that means is that no matter what happens, even when you're dead, your spirit only transforms in a something else. You know what I mean? So you have to know the right, because all you think people commercialize things. They commercialize things because of the lack of education. So, for example, you touched on bleaching earlier in the conversation. Now, why that man will get up and bleach his skin? It's because he's not educated, that bridging. Just by being a black man, the melanin is so important. And the melanin in your skin is so rare thing. That why would you go ahead and damage it? You're only killing yourself.
Yeah.
It's so great. So it's lack of information, and I believe that it's intentional. It's indefinitely intentional, because these people want control, and how you control people. You control people by lack of education. So when you come out and you tell a kid, say, it's okay, for example, you tell a kid, say, it's okay to eat ice cream in the night. Or it's okay to eat sweets back to back. And you didn't inform that child that by you eating sweets back to back, it's going to rot in your teeth. You become controlling that child that when his teeth start rotting now, him end up have to go to the dentist. And his mother have to end up pay how much money now to either remove that tooth or to either work on that tooth or fix the cavity or whatever the case may be. So it's lack of information allow these people to gain. So all you have to teach the youth them is just inform them. That's the reason why music is so important again, is to inform the people that, hey, we're kings, man. Stop acting stupid and bleaching your skin because you think, come on, man, wise up.
Thank you for that question, Steve, and thank you for that in-depth answer. I'm just plugging in my phone right here. That's why I'm moving around, because I don't want my phone to die. All right. There we go. That is an in-depth answer, and I feel like spirituality, too, in a lot of ways, is the way you live your life, you know, and the conscious decisions that you make. So thank you for that, Shavor.
Oh my, it's a pleasure, you know what I mean?
Tell me who's on a positive vibe, because you're all about positive vibes, and I love that about you. And you don't really, you don't look at the negative or even focus on it to make it bigger than it should be. But in that song, Natural Vibe, I feel like you do that really well. Tell me what inspired the song, Natural Vibe, concept production. It makes me feel good, that song.
Definitely. So, again, what inspired that song is alright. So what was happening is that me and my team, I have a team that I work with, we were just here vibing. I was just vibing the song, and I say, we don't pay attention, even how the song starts, we don't pay attention to negativity, positivity, you know? And we say Rastafari, and Rastafari, why we say Rastafari is because Rastafari is positivity, Rastafari is love, Rastafari is self-love, Rastafari is spirit, Rastafari is the Almighty, you know what I mean? So, that song was inspired by, it and King was inspired by my lifestyle and the lifestyle of my peers, you know what I mean? We teach the youth about true richness in natural vibes. The song, as I mentioned, was inspired by my lifestyle and by my peers' lifestyle. We teach them about appreciating what you have rather than what you don't have. I mean, because if you dwell on what you don't have, sometimes envy starts to creep up and you don't even realize until it's too late. So you focus on what you have more than what you don't have. And that is the basic thing that Natural Vibes is talking about, you know what I mean? It's also talking about a touch on the ladies in a few parts of it as well, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, woman is a blessing also, so all the blessings of life are touch on, you know what I mean? Touch on life itself, the herb, which is also a blessing, and the female, which is also a blessing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The whole song is a blessing. I love the whole song. I love the vibe. And tell me some ways that you turn negatives into positives in your life.
Yeah, good question. That's a great question. So yeah, turning negative into positive. Like for example, I was like for example, say for instance, I found out that for instance, I found out that something is not going right. Like say for instance, I have like a rehearsal or a studio session, and when I go to the studio session, whosoever might be there, they are turn off the energy or anyone. We try not to focus on that. What we try to do is to turn it in something positive than dwelling on the negativity by focusing on, say, yo, you know, so when that song you drop, if the same person the way are free negative towards with him, same one I go even love the song. You know what I mean? By putting in certain things in the song where him can say, yo, you know, say even though me did that think negative that person, yeah, him solid, you know what I mean? That is just one way, but mainly I try to turn negativity in positivity is to just not to dwell too much on negativity, to be honest. You know what I mean? Yeah, and to pray, always to pray.
Sometimes it just takes a matter of changing your perspective and how you look at it. Like my great-grandmother used to always say, every disappointment is for an appointment.
That is it for sure. Like, for example, you're right. And sometimes when certain things don't go, like the old people also have a saying, my grandmother also have a saying, and my mom has a saying when I was growing up, is that sometimes when something happens, don't go, meanwhile man son got a wife. And what that saying mean is that sometimes you don't know what is right for you, you know. Sometimes you think that you doing, for example, you going to a particular show is important to you, like getting new fans, and on the way going to the show, anything might happen. And you say, John, look how this happened. You don't know if it's the Almighty, says something gonna happen negative at that show and prevent that show. So that's how I look at life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than to say, hey, look how I never get to go to the show or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Yes, divine intervention of sorts. I like that. Tell me, what is being rich to you? Is it money, money-making thing, or can you consider any type of richness in other ways? You know, Bob Marley had that question from that interviewer that time. You know, everybody knows it. And the interviewer says, you know, are you a rich person? Do you consider yourself a rich person, Bob? And Bob says, you know, rich? What do you mean by rich? You know, so what is rich to you?
Richness is as the song. There's a line in Natural Vibes where I'm say, man rich all when my bank account slim. That is exactly what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So people, when we don't have no money at all, rich. Like I know a lot of poor millionaire and a lot of poor billionaire. So what is rich? Rich is not money. Rich is never money. You know what I mean? Rich is love. You know what I mean? Because, for example, let me expound on that I just mentioned. A lot of rich billionaire and rich millionaire. A lot of person who have billions and millions of dollars, but they don't have anyone real in their life. They're miserable. Most of these persons, right after they reach the peak of their richness, you hear that they and their wives are having a divorce, or this person tried to double cross them, or whatever the case may be. So when I say man rich, I literally have my brothers around me who want to see me prevail, who want to see me shine. We can be literally here, don't have any food to eat, and we just here just a whole of joy. Just by me and you here reasoning right now, we are rich right now because we are having a constructive conversation, which you are learning from this conversation. I am learning from this conversation. The viewers are learning. So we are all rich right now. We are rich in thought. We are rich in love. You have a love for the music. You know what I mean? That is richness right there. You can't, no amount of money can't buy that. You know what I mean? And what I have, a lot of person don't have it, which is real people around. I have some real people, some solid people around me, and a lot of billion and millionaire, or whatever them call it, trillionaire. I don't even know the other year after the trillion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot still don't have no real people around them. So who is really the one who is rich?
Yeah.
Like, richness is love, you know what I mean? Richness is knowledge. So yeah, for me, that is what I see as richness. And we will never look on us and say, him poor or him rich. Poor and richness is just an illusion.
Yeah.
Because who invent money? Is man really invent money? And a lot of people don't understand that the paper money that we use, when paper money actually just came out, because they were using silver and gold, and paper money was just a company, was just a note that they write to say, hey, you owe me X amount. So if you get $100 bill, example, you owe me 100 pieces of silver, and at X time you're going to pay me. But that paper literally didn't have any value. And then it's after civil people, things start getting more upgrade, people start say, all right, you know what, put value to this thing. I'm going to say, man, I kill themselves over literal paper. Like, it don't make no sense to me. Yeah. So yeah, it's an illusion when you really look at it. It's an illusion. You know what I mean? And they're trying to control the people by means of even the same money and richness, and it's just ridiculous to me. You know what I mean?
Going back to what you mentioned earlier, the Matrix. You know, that's how they get people to get up every day and punch that clock and stay in that 9 to 5 in order to feed their family and or in order to pay their mortgage and in order to pay this debt, which is also an illusion. And they keep printing more money and then more inflation, and it's a cycle and it's a circle and it's a trap, you know, in a lot of ways. So I'd love to hear, you know, your idea of what richness really is, because yeah, love is, I think, the greatest currency.
So my richness is love. My richness is, you know what I mean?
I love that.
Knowledge.
Tell me something most people don't know about you or would never in a million years guess.
I'm a very straightforward person, so, you know what I mean? Things that people don't know about me.
It could be anything. It could be like something that, a food that you love, maybe that people wouldn't assume that you love, or something you like to do, or a hobby, or, you know, something that most people don't know.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to scratch the surface.
It's a hard question.
Yeah, to be honest. Most of my people know everything that I would love or anything that I would dislike. I really love kids. Like, I really, really love kids, you know what I mean? I believe they're the future and they should be nurtured. Because, of course, when a kid is not, or when children are not nurtured, you see it reflect on society, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's something that people would know, though, that I love kids, yeah. People already know that I love music. People already know that I write my own stuff. I produce some of my own music.
You're an open book, it seems like.
Not necessarily an open book, but yeah.
Do you have any kids of your own?
Huh?
Do you have any kids? Joya is asking, do you have any children?
Not as yet. Not as yet.
Okay.
We're setting the foundation first, you know. Foundation is firm, then we can go ahead and do it, you know what I mean?
I'm sure that will come one day, King, and you can set those foundations and grow your roots and leave your legacy. Thank you so much for conversing with me tonight and sharing your music with the world. I will be playing your music now, following our reasoning now. So everybody who's tuned in on the radio, you're in the right place. If you're here on Instagram, you're going to have to go over to rootsreggaehub.com to hear all of Shavar's music back to back to back. It's going to be a half an hour curated playlist of Shavar music, all of my favorite tracks back to back on rootsreggaehub.com. Thank you, Shavar, for joining me tonight on Melody Mondays and for sharing your music. And make sure you keep me up to date on the album. Before it comes out, I want, you know, all the information I need to have. Make sure you send it to me.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'm going to make sure that I actually send you a special package, as I mentioned. I want everyone to tune in and to follow the movement, get with the movement, because this album is going to be a game changer, you know what I mean?
Where can people find you? Like, where can they find you on Twitter, Facebook? Spell it out for people who are listening.
Definitely. So you can find me anywhere, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Even if you Google my name, it's Shavarr. So it's two R's at the end. So it's Shavarr, and on Instagram it's Shavarr_official. Twitter it's Shavarr-official. Facebook is Shavarr-official. But once you type in Shavarr, you're going to see it pop up populated. You know what I mean? So yeah, Shavarr is the name. It's with two R's at the end, and you can just get with the movement. As I mentioned, this album is really special to me. It's really special to the other persons who are going to have a hand in it, and I would really appreciate it. You can also follow me on Spotify. All the stuffs are there on Spotify, you know what I mean? Or you can follow me on any streaming platform that you use. So if you're not a fan of Spotify, you use Apple Music, you can go there and stream the stuff. If you use YouTube, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have some amazing videos on there. Yeah, Mark, we're everywhere.
All right, you guys heard it here first on rootsreggae.com. It's another Melody Mondays tonight with Shavarr. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you're on air listening or whether you're here on Instagram, Bless Up, or Twitter, or TuneIn app, or Google, or Alexa, wherever you're tuning in from. Bless Up. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night, Shavarr. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Everyone, have a great night, and remember to give thanks to the Almighty and to appreciate what you have. You know what I mean? Always remember to give thanks and to be appreciative. Yeah, so I'm out, guys. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful night.
One love.
You know?
Bye.